and we need more of them to come into the profession. Young men and women, some of the brightest in the country, have to come into this profession, and this shutdown is going to make that more challenging, more difficult for us to accomplish that goal. We used to have four air traffic controllers retire every day. We now have 15 to 20 air traffic controllers retiring a day. So that's a problem. Long after you all finish covering the shutdown, we are going to be stuck dealing with this problem where we're about 2,000 controllers short, trying to make up that difference. We're going to do it. We're going to work on it, but that has been a problem of the shutdown. I mentioned I wanted air traffic controllers to come back to work. So to be clear, anywhere from 24 to 48 hours after the government opens, they are going to get a photo ID and 70% of their pay. So 70% of their pay comes within 24 to 48 hours. So I encourage all of them to come to work, to be patriots and help navigate the airspace effectively for the American people. The remaining 30%, I think, will come in about a week after the government opens. I want to say thank you to Senate Democrats, the 8 of them that voted to open up the government. That's critically important. This is now going to go to the House. I encourage every single Republican and Democrat to vote to open the government. And I don't want to be Chicken Little for you all. I'm going to give you what I see. So if the government doesn't open, if the House doesn't do its job, I've had questions about what happens for Thanksgiving. There's a lot of Thanksgiving trouble. What's going to happen during that time frame? I'm going to tell you, we are not going to get to Thanksgiving. You're going to see this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The big disruption thus far, massively more disruption as we come into the weekend if the government doesn't open. It is going to radically slow down. So the House has to do its work. And by the way, I'm very hopeful. It seems like they're in a good mood to come in and vote to open the government. And again, I hope they do that. We're going to take your questions in a moment, but I do want to let you hear from our acting ATO, head of our air traffic controllers, to talk about what he's seen. Then we'll come back and we'll take some of your questions. So Frank?
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Secretary. Before I say anything else, I do want to thank the men and the women, the air traffic controllers, our supervisors, our technicians, our individuals that work at our FAA JTOC and Command Center who have kept this system running over unprecedented times, under unsure times of when the next paycheck's going to come and how they're going to make ends meet. And through it all, they kept everyone at this airport safe, as well as all the airports around the country. Mr. Secretary, I also want to thank you for visiting these facilities, spending time with our controllers and our technicians and our managers to understand the problem and to hear from them firsthand. I can't tell you how much it means to them to have a boss come and listen to that and listen to them and how we're going to get past the shutdown. From the Air Traffic Organization, we're extremely hopeful that we are on the eve of the shutdown. And the reason why I'm saying that is this past weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, witnessed 3 of the highest staffing trigger numbers out of the 4 that we've had on record during the shutdown. Out of these whole entire days, we've seen 3 staffing triggers, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, that severely impacted the operation. Normally, what we will do is we'll put in ground delay programs that you'll see your flights being delayed. That's a normal protocol. This past weekend saw us put in airspace flow programs where we had to slow the entire country down, which forced massive cancellations and delays. This is not sustainable for our air traffic controllers, for our technicians, and for the American public. For our controllers who are working and worried about what's going to happen to them, rest assured, when the shutdown's over, they will be made whole, and they'll be made whole within a week. What's really important for us is getting back to business. And what I mean by that is Thanksgiving is coming up. This is the time where everybody comes and connects with their loved ones. This is the time where air traffic controllers and technicians say, it's go time. It's go time for us. We want the shutdown to be over. We want our controllers back on the boards doing what they do best, which is separating traffic and keeping everyone safe. We look forward to getting back to business once this shutdown is over and ensuring that we once again hold true to what we promised to everyone in this room and across the country. We got you, we'll keep you safe, and rest assured we'll get through this together. Mr. Secretary.
I want to thank Frank as well. He's done a masterful job at the FAA navigating this crisis for us. A couple of points and I'll take your questions. As we come into Thanksgiving, this is a Super Bowl of air traffic controlling, right? It's massive movement of Americans. And again, this shutdown is going to get us to a place where we can get controllers back in our facilities controlling the airspace. I want to bring up one issue that I'll take your questions. You saw on Friday, on Saturday, we reduced our flights by 4%. So 4% of commercial aviation had to be canceled. Now, some have claimed that this was based on politics. This was based on pressure. And I would just tell you that this information, to do this reduction in flights by 4% on Saturday, it came from the safety office. The safety office made the recommendation, they elevated it, and we implemented it. And I'd also note on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the cancellations in the airspace were higher than 4%. Right? So some might argue we didn't cancel enough flights. Today, we increased it by another 2%. So we're at 6% of cancellations of flights in the airspace. Some have asked, when are you going to start rolling those back? The answer to that is, this has all been data-based. We've seen incursions on runways, we've seen loss of separation in the airspace, and we've seen heightened complaints by pilots of the communication they're having with air traffic controllers. When this information goes in the wrong direction, we have to make decisions to keep people safe. You all saw it with the DCA air crash. The last administration didn't see the 85 near misses that happened in that airspace. They didn't take action. They didn't look at the data. So we are going to look at the data and make the best decisions possible to keep the traveling public safe. That's what we've done. When that data changes, we're going to start taking down from 6, maybe we'll go to 4, 2, and get back to normal air travel. But I want to just clarify what we've done and why we've done it with the reduction of flights. And by the way, I think that by having a system-wide reduction where people and airlines can think through the cancellations, that's far safer than seeing hotspots around the country in random cancellations and delays. It leaves airplanes stuck at certain airports. It leaves crews stuck in other locations. It's way harder to manage. So we think this was the best approach to reduce the risk in the system and improve safety. So with that, happy to take your questions. Yes.
I'm Alex Capriello with News Nation. You talked about loss of separation, essentially aircrafts in the sky getting too close for comfort. Can you expand a little bit about what the data shows, how close maybe some of these aircrafts are getting to each other, and then if this were to, God forbid, end in disaster, what you could say the DOT and the FAA is doing to prevent an aircraft fatality or something that really would be catastrophic?
Yeah, so we didn't have near misses, but we did see the incursions of those separation requirements. Right? When you have that, that's a sign of more risk in the system, which was one of the factors we looked at when we made this decision. Listen, you can walk outside. I can't guarantee your safety. You get in your car. I can't guarantee safety, but I have to look at the risk in this system, and then we have to make decisions based on that risk and based on that pressure. And that's what we've done here. And again, it's been a lot of conversations, a lot of analysis, and making the best decisions we can possible with the information we have, the controllers we have. But to be clear, we are concerned about people having flights delayed and having their flights canceled. That's a problem. But that is a secondary problem to safety. Safety is the number one issue. I want you to get safely to where you're flying. That is issue number one.
And a quick follow-up, sir. Can you give us a timeline of what it might look like when the government does reopen to get things back to normal for the flying public and for the airports all across the country?
That's a great question. So we're going to wait to see the data on our end before we take out the restrictions in travel. That's 6% we have in place right now. But it depends on controllers coming back to work. Today's a good sign. We had 4 staffing triggers today. On Saturday, there were 81. I think Sunday was 53. So real issues in the last 3 days, but today looks better. And the House does their work tomorrow. I think we're well on our way to getting to more normal air travel, less delays and less cancellations. Yes?
Hi, Miranda Davis, Bloomberg News. Earlier you mentioned that if the House does not vote or if the government does not reopen, there will be massive disruptions this weekend. Can you quantify that in terms of like a percentage of flights canceled?
So I can't quantify, but in my conversations with the airlines and with the FAA and what we're seeing with air traffic controllers, we feel there are going to be significant issues in the airspace. To quantify it, I don't have a crystal ball for you, but I can tell you what we're seeing with all of our equities, there will be real disruption. Oh, I think it's going to be more than 10%. And I think we might find airlines that have to make decisions. Do they keep flying? If this doesn't open, you might have airlines that say, we're going to ground our planes. We're not going to fly anymore. That's how serious this is. Yes?
Hi, Secretary Duffy. Casey Cronus with Fox 32. Can you respond to President Trump recommending a $10,000 bonus for air traffic controllers that have come to work during the shutdown? And then second, how do you plan to fill that gap of 2,000 air traffic controllers that you will need to when this is all done?
Yeah, listen, President Trump, brilliant. The air traffic controllers who didn't miss a day, they came for every scheduled shift that they had. They should get a bonus. Now, I don't know how many there are going to be. We have to do that analysis. But I'm aligned with the president. We are going to pay them a bonus, and it'll be $10,000, depending on how many we have. They should come to the White House, and he should present them with their checks. They're patriots. We are grateful to them for the work that they've done. How do I make up the 2,000? So I was doing 2 things. I'm supercharging our air traffic control school, our academy, getting more young people to come in. From the time they apply to the time they get into the academy, I've truncated that. I'm paying them a bonus to come to the academy. We've kept paying the students at the academy a stipend to make sure the academy is still operational. We've done all those things, but we've seen that young people have been less willing to be air traffic controllers when they see they may not be paid. That's a problem. But the second part of what we've done is we have air traffic controllers who can retire after 25 years of service. I've asked them, they're the most experienced in the airspace. I said, would you please stay on? Please don't retire. I'll give you a 20% upfront cash bonus if you don't retire and you stay on the job. And what we've seen in the course of this shutdown is a far greater majority of those controllers that I thought were going to stay are now retiring. So it makes my problem more difficult, it's more challenging, but we are going to get the academy fully operational to get as many controllers into the airspace as possible to make up that differential. Yes?
Thank you. Kind of the opposite. The president's also talked about penalizing some of these air traffic controllers who took sick time. So can you talk about what that plan would look like there?
Well, my concern is for those air traffic controllers who, before they missed a paycheck and we're in the shutdown, they decided on a continual basis not to show up for work. They don't know how long the shutdown was going to be. They hadn't missed a pay period, and they didn't come to work. I'm concerned about those controllers. I'm concerned about their dedication. I'm concerned about their patriotism. And so we haven't made a decision, but we are going to look at those controllers who continually made the decision not to show up for work. And again, we have to look at the data. I would just tell you, I'm trying to bring more air traffic controllers in. I'm not trying to take air traffic controllers out. But if we have controllers who systemically weren't doing their job, we will take action.
Oh, also,
Yes.
can you
Hi there, Maddie with CBS News. I wanted to ask how quickly will the air traffic controllers get paid once the government reopens?
So how quickly will air traffic controllers get paid? So they'll be paid within 24 to 48 hours of the government opening. They'll get 70% of their back pay in that time frame, and then after, the remainder will be made up. I think it's about a week they'll get the remainder of the pay. So very quickly they're going to get money in their bank accounts. By the way, kudos to the Congress for doing this. It's important we get them paid very quickly. By the way, we talk about air traffic controllers. We have technicians in our towers that keep our very, very old equipment operational. They've been coming to work to make sure our equipment works. They've been moving without pay. We have a wide swath of people who are focused on safety. It might be trains, it might be certified aircraft that have all come to work without pay. We talk about the air traffic controllers today because it impacts people's lives, but a lot of people have gone through long work weeks, haven't got paid. I'm waiting for them to hopefully get paid if the House does their work. Yes?
Hello, Secretary Duffy. Brona with WGN here in Chicago. You talked a lot about the cancellations and the delays, and I believe there are restrictions in place for the private jets as well. Did you fly here today in a private plane?
If you could re-ask your question, I couldn't hear you over the last.
You talked a lot about the delays and the cancellations of the commercial flights, and I believe there are restrictions in place for private planes as well. Did you fly here today on a private plane?
Did I fly here on a private? I wish. By the way, had I flown on a private plane, I would not have landed here at O'Hare because we have restrictions at LAX, Seattle, Denver, O'Hare, Boston, Newark, JFK, Atlanta, Dallas. You can't fly a private aircraft into those airports, the top 12. With some small exceptions to that rule, you can't fly a private aircraft. So no one's flying in here, but for those small exceptions. We've reduced private jet travel or general aviation by 10%, as well as if there are delays in the system, cancellations in the system, we've also put in restrictions that say commercial aircraft take a priority. The private jet travel would have to go to a different airport. So we are prioritizing the commercial traveler, the people who are coming through this airport. Now, I flew in on American Airlines from Wausau, Wisconsin today. I flew on Delta last night from DC. So no, I'm a commercial flyer. Thank you.
Just as a quick follow-up to that, I believe there are, I think I saw a figure of 1,700 plus private jets taking off yesterday alone around the country. What do you say to the people here who've been stranded for days in Chicago alone, who maybe don't have the means to fork over hundreds or thousands of dollars to do so?
So, listen, I'm not at war with private jets. If there's an airport that doesn't have shutdowns and delays and it's not one of my top airports, and they want to fly their private jets out of there, that's fine. Or you want to fly your little Cessna out of there, that's fine too. I'm concerned about the airports that have the major disruption. Right? So I'm not at war with anybody in aviation. I'm just trying to efficiently and effectively navigate the restrictions that we've had with air traffic controllers and make sure that commercial aviation is traveling well throughout the system, which would make sense. I think that's what anyone would do. Yes?
Last one, guys. Hey, Patrick with NBC5 Chicago. So just to clarify, you said if the government doesn't reopen, we could see more than 10% delays, and some airlines might even ground planes. Have you talked to airlines about that, or what are you basing that off of?
I'm going to tell you that in the information that I have, you have significant disruption where you may find airlines that stop flying. Full stop. And what we see with our air traffic controllers, good day today, if the House doesn't pass this bill, I think you're going to look at Saturday, Sunday, and Monday as tiddlywinks. It was beautiful. It's going to get much worse than that. And we had talked about, and I had even mentioned, I think it would come at Thanksgiving. I don't think that's the case right now. I think it comes well before Thanksgiving. I think we would see that significant disruption coming this next weekend, maybe as early as Friday. And I think you're going to have airlines that make serious calculations about whether they continue to fly. Full stop. I'll do one more question, then I got to run.
Next steps to getting them that technology.
New technology for air traffic controllers. So I need $31.5 billion to do this bill. The big beautiful bill gave me $12.5 billion. So we're in the process of picking an integrator. No offense, Frank. The FAA does a great job at safety. They don't know how to build. So we're going to have an outside company manage the build. We're going to have radios, voice switches, new radar, new telecom. We have to switch from analog to digital. By the way, that's somewhat complicated to do that, especially while we keep the airspace operational. That's what we have the money for right now. I'm hopeful that the Congress is going to give me the rest of the money. This is bipartisan, by the way. Republicans and Democrats agree we need the money. When I get the rest of those dollars, we are going to work on what's called a common automation platform, basically the software that's going to run our airspace. It has to be brand new. It has to be developed, debugged, and then deployed. So that's going to take us longer than I think the 3-year period that we're on right now. And then the air traffic controllers, they need brand new equipment. You've seen the paper strips they use for flights. We're trying to move this to digital flight strips. Again, it's great 1985, 1993 equipment here. It's a blast from the past, but we should live today and technology from today. And I would just tell you, what we're doing isn't easy. And because it isn't easy, no one else has done it. Everyone else has passed it off. And Frank and I and Brian Bedford, but most importantly, President Trump has said, actually deliver for the American people, fix this system. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. And by the way, I talked about what this shutdown does for air traffic controllers. That's real. But it hasn't done that for this mission to modernize the airspace. We were given the money in the big, beautiful bill, so we had it in our coffers at the FAA. So that process has continued to move forward, which I'm grateful for. So that has not been delayed, though the air traffic controller issue is going to be a problem that we're going to deal with into the future. By the way, Chicago's been, at least today, running well. Love the air traffic controllers. I hope they get my flight out on time today. I put a good word in for myself. I'm kidding. Again, I fly to here quite a bit as well. I want to thank you for coming out and covering the story. Our mission, again, keep people safe. Keep people safe and do whatever we have to, no matter what the political noise is, to make sure that objective is accomplished. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.